Hello, welcome to another video. Today a little bit of a different video, and I thought it was going to be relatively simple. Turns out not the case. It's actually a lot more complicated, and what I'm trying to do is work out basically where do I want my tank to be bolted down in the van. Now, I've read a lot on Facebook groups and forums and things about getting your tank bolted in, and everyone seems to suggest, you know, they went to their local mechanic and it cost them 50 quid and was relatively straightforward, even if they had to drop the fuel tank or whatever to get it fitted. Turns out that might not be the case. I'm in a Peugeot Partner 2019, and obviously, well, it's the short wheelbase version, so it's not, you know, a massive van. Maybe that adds complication, but I got the frame all set up the other day. Really happy with it, nice and solid. Got it from the cleaning warehouse. Great service as usual from those guys. And my first thought, well, perhaps I can just show you what I was planning originally. So I've had the van, obviously I've emptied the van out, so I've just got my hose reel there and the tank itself and the frame. I've had the van previously positioned at widthways across here, but it turns out actually, because of the position of the fuel tank, that's not an ideal location to secure the tank. So after going to literally 3 or 4 different mechanics who all said they couldn't do it, just because they didn't even look at the job, they just said it's not the kind of thing they normally do. I found one who is willing to do it. I haven't got a price yet, but I doubt it's going to be 50 quid. I'm expecting a lot more. What he suggested is to put the tank down the side, which would be an easier position, which I really don't like. The other option then is to bring the tank forward to the back doors and have it basically in between the wheel arches. Now, that's my preference, but the question is, am I going to get everything that I need into the van with it positioned that way? And I think it's going to be quite difficult. I've only got one side door, so it would leave the space behind the bulkhead free, which is great. If it works, I think that'll work really well actually. So I'll have my reel here right up against the back door. I'll have a little bit of space to the side where I'll probably keep my gutter vac, and then the space in the middle will be when I need to bring the pressure washer. So we shall see. So the plan for today is I'm going to have a little play around, try the tank in the different positions, see what works, what doesn't, and yeah, we'll go from there. Yeah. Enjoy. So I can get the pressure washer in, but then I can't get out. So I really don't know what to do The pressure washer will fit in, but then I can't get out without trying to scramble over the top of the pressure washer. What to do? The other option is maybe bringing it a little further forward so that the pressure washer could still fit in the back. Now, that's in, but the door won't shut. Or will it? Nope. Not quite. So if I was to push that back a little, let's see. So that just about fits in. I could still be real there, and then that gives me a fair amount of space here, gutter vac and whatever bits and bobs. So whatever happens, the pressure washer isn't going to go that way, it needs to go sideways. Gutter vac then, that'll fit in there no problem. And then I've got space for whatever, as I say, bits and bobs. The other thing I'm thinking is, where am I going to put my controller? I could mount the controller on the wall there. Had the pump and that down there, maybe. The easy option would be just to have the tank on one side here, say, and then I'd have all this side going front to back, right up to the bulkhead, to get things in and out. I'd still have access to the side door, so it does makes a lot of sense. But the downside is all the weight is on one side. Then I don't always have the pressure washer in the van, so you're looking. The frame has got to be. It's got to be about 30 kilos, something like that. The tank itself, so say that's 300 kilograms. That weight is all, with the water in, that weight is always on that side, isn't it? And how will it feel driving around with that weight on one side? The other option is putting the tank to the back, as I have had it, getting him to drop the fuel tank, install the frame in the tank, and then that's it, job done. But I feel like that's probably going to cost me a couple £100, which isn't ideal. Decisions. What's the downside with having the tank in this position in the middle? Is there a downside? No, I feel like it just needs to go up against the bulkhead. That's the obvious answer, yeah. It needs to go up against the bulkhead. So I've had a little play around with the positioning of things. I just can't see a better option. There's options that work, like all of the options work. If I put the tank side on, I've got a load of space front to back. I've still got access to the side door, but it concerns me that all the weight always is on that side, unless I've got the pressure washer in which case it balances the weight out a little. But then I'm driving around with more weight in the van, that's more fuel, more expensive. If I bring the tank forward, getting the pressure washer in and out is a little more difficult, but it's doable. And then I've got that space behind the tank. Is there a downside with that? So the only downside I can see, I just don't know how it'll affect the handling, having the tank in the middle of the van, but I don't really see, I don't know, it's one of them you wouldn't know until you try it. And then if I push the tank all the way to the bulkhead, the downside there is it's going to be more work, more costly, but ultimately it is the best option. So I think I'm just gonna have to suck it up and pay the money and get them to drop the fuel tank and do it that way. This is one of them things that you'll look up online about, you know, people getting frames installed. Everyone makes it sound so easy. It is anything but. It really takes a lot of thought and preparation, and I'm glad the mechanic that I'm going to, John, has suggested actually just taking a bit of time, try taking stuff in and out the van and changing the positioning around. That's a good call. Right, time to have one last little think, and then we'll get back to the garage, get the job started there. All right, so a decision of sorts has been reached. I just can't see how it's going to work having the tank anywhere other than against the bulkhead. So that is what we shall do, and we'll see how much it's going to cost. What I need to do now is ask me just to remove all the uni-strut supports so that you've just got the base to work with, and yeah, and then I'll take it back to the garage and hopefully we'll get it started today. I imagine if he's got to drop the fuel tank, it's going to be a couple of days to do it, so that means no work for a couple of days. Apologies to my lovely customers. All right, back to the garage, but time first for a coffee.